I'm wondering if the last thing you would expect to come out of my mouth in a channel that I started about health and wellness and menopause is going to be, do you ever think of your expiry date? And it's okay if you don't want to answer in the comments. Some people joke and say none of us get out of here alive, but it's true. The things we can't avoid are death and taxes. By the end of this video, I hope to leave you either aligning with what I'm saying or maybe asking yourself some of the questions that I'm asking. Am I present in my life, and what do I want to be present for? If this is a triggering topic, potentially you are watching this knowing you have an expiry date, I'm sorry. I don't want to trigger any ill feelings in you. Please skip this video if this is a conversation you don't want to have. The person who put this thought in my head is someone that I've been having some really interesting and deep conversations with. We barely know each other, but we kind of dive right in and talk about all the things that give us meaning and fulfillment in life. And so when I think about the end game, when I think about visiting my 101-year-old aunt on the weekend, I started thinking a lot about what's going to be between now and that date. I don't know where this conversation falls, but I'm glad you're here to have it with me. Please subscribe. I finally went to visit my 101-year-old aunt. She's in the hospital, and she has been there for a while. She's not doing so hot. Her memory's a little bit foggy, and I mean, she's 101. But as I left the hospital, I expected to be sad, and I was. It wasn't that I wasn't sad, but I also felt a lot clearer. I had a lot to think about, but I was ready to, about life going forward. Like, what am I doing from now until my expiry date, which is unknown for all of us? No, seriously, this has been on my mind. We all have an expiry date. We may not know when our expiry date is coming, but we all have an expiry date. I've started slowing down and asking myself, am I fully present in my life? And what do I want to be present for? I am grateful to my aunt who's on the far right, the one I'm talking about. The other one on the far left, they're sisters. That's my other aunt. Both of these ladies have inspired me to live a more present life. And my mom has given me so much strength and so much resilience that I didn't really realize it until I turned, 50, got into my 50s. Now, my aunt has taught me a lot of lessons over the years in watching her kindness, in watching her humbleness, her gratitude. She certainly has had some challenges through her life, and they were the kinds of challenges that she touched upon, that we all kind of knew about, but it wasn't really talked about. Not in the way that my mom talked about the challenges in her life. Very, very different. Nothing right or wrong on either of them, but just watching my aunt's example, I'm starting to think of a couple of things. Was she able to sink into gratitude with whatever was happening in her life? Was she able to find the peace and the calmness in the day-to-day, in raising her children, in cooking, in being in her kitchen? I kind of want some of that. So while I'm thinking about what I want to do with my life or how present I want to be in my life from now until that end game, that end date, and there are things I think I want to do, places I want to see, I find I am more drawn to how I want to feel day to day. Not just having a bucket list of maybe going on a safari or seeing a place in Europe, but honestly, how do I want to feel day to day? Because I know that at some point I am going to lose the ability to travel, to move around. And let's face it, that stuff is expensive. I think a lot about my financial future and what is life going to be like if I can't hit all those dream notes on my bucket list. So maybe what I'm doing in my mind is downsizing my expectations a little bit. Maybe. But I also think that I too want to cultivate some of this presence, this contentment in the day to day. And I'm thinking about how I'm going to do that. There's a Zen Buddhist statement, chop wood, carry water. And while it has to do with enlightenment, it has to do with your self-actualization, I guess. No matter where you are on your path, you always got to take care of the necessities, the chop wood, the carry water. That doesn't get more glamorous or less glamorous as time goes on. It's just the thing you got to do. Whether it's cook for yourself, have a shower, make your bed, You got to chop wood and carry water. How am I going to find the contentment in that? Because I found that sitting home, working remotely, I was losing the contentment in my day-to-day. I was not feeling present in my life. My mind was really going forward on what's going to happen. Am I making enough money? What's my retirement going to look like? And I'm losing the joy of the day-to-day. And when my friend said, we all have an expiry date, I was like, so what am I going to do up until then? How am I going to be? Who am I going to be as a person? And so my January intention was all about reflection. And I guess I'm building on that, where I'm reflecting on how present I am currently and what do I want to be present for. Now, if you don't think like this, totally cool. I'm open to any comments below. Maybe this channel is going to end up like a rambly channel of an old woman. Who knows? But I know after having this conversation with one person that there's another one of you out there that might be thinking the exact same thing. And so thinking about your expiry date might lead you to be thinking about your bucket list, what you want to put on there. And to me, the bucket list has always felt like it had to be huge. Like, I gotta see Mount Everest, which kind of would be cool. There's lots of places to see. There's lots of things I would have liked to achieve or try. And I don't think whitewater rafting is one of them. But I also know that on my bucket list, I want to find contentment in the day-to-day, because I have spent a lot of time with a grass is always greener attitude in looking at other people. And that's hard to admit. It really is, because that would be saying that I sometimes feel jealous of the lives my friends lead. And sadly, that's true. And it's making me realize that when these thoughts enter my head, and mind you, I have had loads of therapy over the last 6 months. So if you're finding again that conversation like this is triggering you, I hope you can reach out to a mental health professional and discuss these things. But I have had a lot of thoughts in my head where the grass has seemed greener and that I've made mistakes and I can't recover from them. I've made financial mistakes, emotional mistakes, career mistakes. And after a while, I have been feeling a little too negative. So as I'm thinking about this expiry date, I decided I want to change the narrative, and seeing my 101-year-old aunt is helping me do that. Because at the end of the day, we all end up the same. We just don't know when. We're not going to be here. So what are we going to be here for? And maybe this does boil back to core values, what I value in my life, what you might value in your life. Those are really important. I don't think I'll ever stop talking about them. Your core values can change, but we always got to have them. There are signposts for creating meaning in this life. And I even think about the meaning of the things that I thought I did want on my bucket list. I've always wanted to have like a 2-acre farm with animals. What does that really mean? It means that I want to feel some expansive space. I want to live a little more simply, and I absolutely love animals. Maybe I'll never achieve having a 2-acre farm and rescuing some pigs or a goat or a cow, but how can I still bring that to my everyday? I donate to animal rescue. I can eventually foster a senior pet when I lose my lovely dog, and I don't know what I'm going to do when that happens. But do you see what I mean? I think there comes a time when we realize time is running out, and there are going to be things that we haven't achieved. And I hope I'm not depressing you. Can we also not look at it as, what was I really looking for with that desire and that action? What's the true meaning behind that? And can I still achieve it on a smaller scale? Life is an unknown, isn't it? We don't know what's going to happen to us. We don't know the effect our choices are going to make. In fact, I'm reading a really good book about that. I have to share that with you in another video. And we can't go back and erase the mistakes that have got us to the point we are now. All we can do is move forward. And some of us have to cultivate the contentment of a simpler life. And I'm doing that by understanding that I have an expiry date and I don't want to waste any more time with regret. I want to find a way to find contentment and presence now and decide what I want to be present for. If you think this is a worthwhile conversation, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to continue it. And on that note, I'll be back to you in another video about something practical, and that's going to be fiber in menopause. We'll see you again.